Welcome back to another ZX Spectrum Compilation review, and this time we're looking at the Best of Elite. Released over 2 volumes, there's a slightly convoluted history to the Best of Elite. Volume 1 was originally released for £9.95 at the end of 1986, but under a different name. Known as 4-in-1, it was the first release on Elite's new compilation label Hit-Pak. But a year later, when they were looking to release a sequel package, they obviously realised that 4-in-1 2 sounded terrible and decided to rebrand, releasing the Best of Elite Volumes 1 and 2 at the same time, both retailing at just £7.95, or you could even get a box set of the 2 volumes for just £14.95. As I only have the individual release, those are what are being reviewed here, so let's start as usual with the packaging. Okay, here we go then. We have the Best of Elite and the Best of Elite Volume 2. Very uniform packaging, which I absolutely love. It's one of my biggest bugbears when they just have a very slight font size change, or they move the logo or anything like that. Really bothers me, but look at that. How beautiful does that look together? And that's the beauty of releasing both volumes at the same time, I suppose. They had no excuse to get it wrong. So let's have a quick look. So both of them have the 4 game posters on the front. Best of Elite at the top, Volume 1 for the Spectrum 48 128 kit. On the side again, Best of Elite, Spectrum 48 kit 128. And the Hit-Pak logo, it was released by Hit-Pak and not Elite. Although, of course, Elite own Hit-Pak, or owned, I don't know, I assume it's not still going. Let's have a look at the inside of number 1 then. The back of the case is, again, it's the same picture. Just further down we get the address up at the top. No real information on there either. It does tell you a tiny bit about each game, but it's very small text. So, but the clear case. The tape only has one sticker on one side. It's a pink one for Volume 1. Says that the track listing is side 1, Frank Bruno's Boxing on its own, because obviously that's a multi-load. And then side 2 we've got Commando, Bombjack and Airwolf. Best of Elite Volume 1 logo in the corner there, Spectrum in nice lettering there, and the Hit-Pak logo. That's the cassette. Then we get a large pull-out, fold-out set of instructions. There we go, Best of Elite Volume 1. We have the instructions in English and French and German, I believe. So there we go, we've got Commando, Bombjack, Airwolf, and then we turn it over and Frank Bruno's Boxing takes up a full side for itself. All the instructions you would expect. You get an introduction to each of the games, it tells you what you're supposed to do, how to load, and the controls. Nothing groundbreaking, but it's presented fairly well. The text size is small, but not too small that you need to squint to read it. Does its job. Yeah, and that's Best of Elite. One of my favourite memories of software houses is playing the Elite arcade conversion, so I'm certainly looking forward to Volume 1. So let's crack on with that. Released in late 1987, Best of Elite Volume 1 was available for the Spectrum, Amstrad, Commodore 64 and even the Commodore 16, a system that Elite supported fairly heavily. Priced at £7.95, the games included were Bombjack, Frank Bruno's Boxing, Commando and Airwolf. I have covered 2 of the games in my series of One Life reviews, so I'll be reusing and updating some of the footage from those. But let's cut the waffle and get on with the games. Bombjack was originally released in 1986 to great acclaim, and is a conversion of the 1984 Tekken arcade platformer. Despite its simple premise, collect the bombs to move on to the next screen, Bombjack creates a surprising amount of depth due to its 2 main mechanics. Firstly, Bombjack is supremely manoeuvrable, with not only a large standard jump, but by pushing up when jumping, he can reach the very top of the screen. But the key and fairly unique action is that pressing the fire button mid-jump stops his upward momentum, allowing you to cut short jumps at will, and by tapping the fire button, you're able to make BJ hover or glide. The other key mechanic is in the scoring. Collecting bombs in order, by always going for the fizzing bomb, can reap huge bonuses, so the game can be played in multiple ways. As a simple level chaser, just complete as many screens as you can. As a high score challenge, by playing for the bonuses. Or as a combination of the 2, which is how I like to play it. There are also power-up discs to collect. The B will give you bonuses for every bomb you collect after activating it, E will give you an extra life, and P will stun the enemies and make them collectible for a short period. I was a huge fan of the Spectrum version of Bombjack when I was a kid, but I'd never played it in the arcades, so I had nothing to compare it to. It wasn't until MAME and other emulators hit the scene that I finally got to try out the original, and it's fair to say that Bombjack is both my favourite arcade game and my favourite Spectrum arcade conversion. Despite squaring off the play area, the Spectrum version is so authentic to the arcade that you can use the same strategies on both, and the bomb patterns are interchangeable between the two. The 5 backdrops, featuring international landmarks, the Pyramids of Giza, the Acropolis, Castle Neuschwanstein, New York skyscrapers and a nighttime cityscape, are all presented really well. The backdrops do repeat after level 5, but the platform positions change, so the game never gets dull. The magazines of the day were unanimous in their praise for Bombjack. Crash smashed it with 92%, saying at £7.99 it's a giveaway. It was a CMVG hit when they said it's a must for every arcade action fan. Joe Sinclair gave it a 9 out of 10 hotshot, saying Bombjack is most certainly a blast, and Sinclair User scored it 4 out of 5, calling it great fun, slickly executed and totally addictive. The arcade and home computers diverged after this release. Bombjack 2 was released later the same year, for home computers only, and whilst the name was licensed, the game was an original, but I haven't tried it yet. Mighty Bombjack was released for the NES again in 1986, before being converted to the 16-bits and the Commodore 64, but we never saw a release on the Spectrum. And it wasn't until 1993 that there was finally an arcade sequel, when Bombjack Twin updated the graphics, speed and added a simultaneous 2-player option. Elite really were masters of the arcade conversion in the mid-80s, and coming back to Spectrum Bombjack after a good few years away feels like coming home. Commando, of course, is a conversion of Capcom's 1985 arcade hit, where you must help lone soldier Super Joe fight his way through a war-torn jungle, fending off wave after wave of enemy soldiers. The Spectrum version was released by Elite Systems just 9 months after it hit the arcades, and as you can see, it's top notch. The Spectrum can't match the arcade colours, everything else is represented well, with the cartoony soldiers in their little tin hats, enemies jumping from higher platforms, jeeps, motorbikes, grenades, mortar launchers, bridges, and all manner of details from the arcade original. In fact, the only thing that's missing is the opening cutscene, where Joe jumps from a helicopter and waves the pilot goodbye. In the arcade you had a second button to throw grenades, but on the Spectrum these are thrown by holding down the fire button on your joystick, which is better than having to reach for the keyboard, but it does make you vulnerable when you have to stop shooting. Rather than an end level boss, we get a horde of enemies, but with nowhere to run due to the scrolling stopping by the locked and fortified gates. So we just need to shoot and weave until they're all cleared. Elite scored another big hit with the critics. Commando got 94% for its Crash Smash, a 9 out of 10 YS Hotshot and 5 out of 5 in Sinclair User. It was also Shooter of the Year in the 1985 Crash Readers Poll and only dropped to number 3 in the vote the following year, and it was even Arcade Game of the Year at the Golden Joysticks. With all 8 areas included, very similar enemy patterns, and even the same high score table, Commando's a damn fine conversion, and one that I'm happy to keep coming back to. Especially if it's the 1:8K version with the awesome AY cover of Rob Hubbard's theme, which I actually prefer to the Sid Chip original. Hi folks, I'm sure everyone's aware that for small-time creators, YouTube takes up a lot of time and effort for little reward other than hopefully an increasing view counter under your video. So if you ever feel inclined to support me in any way you can, that'd be greatly appreciated. It can be as little as leaving me a nice comment or a like on one of my many videos, purchasing a one-off super thanks that'll get a comment of yours highlighted, or becoming a regular member. Memberships start at as little as 99p and offer useless things like loyalty badges and emojis, to shout-outs, early access to videos, members-only giveaways, and even a physical metallic and ceramic members badge. If any of that takes your fancy, or you just want me to stop talking, then click that little join button there, and all the karma in the world will be yours, for the next 20 minutes at least.
We return you now to your regularly scheduled program.
Released in '85, Frank Bruno's boxing cashed in on the huge popularity of the British boxer due to his friendly, larger-than-life personality. In the mid-'80s, Frank Bruno was box office, Britain's heavyweight great hope, becoming European champion in 1984 and going on to fight for the world title 5 times between '86 and '96, losing the first 3 but finally becoming heavyweight champion of the world in 1995 against Oliver McCall, only to lose the crown 6 months later in the second title fight against Iron Mike Tyson. Frank Bruno's boxing would be re-released in 1989 as a budget title under the name Frank Bruno's World Championship Boxing to coincide with the first of those Bruno-Tyson title fights. The game starts off with Contender 1, Canadian Crusher. Crusher's a big plodding lumberjack from Canada with the beauty of a grizzly bear and the speed of an elephant. None of the characters are culturally, politically correct, so it's definitely a game of its time, but the graphics are nice, with an attractive scoreboard complete with fighters' faces, and the fight itself is an impressive interpretation of the Nintendo arcade game Super Punch-Out. There's quite a bit of flicker, and when I tested it on a +2, there was little corruption when the fighters walk on, but nothing that affected the gameplay. With left and right punches and dodges, as well as body and head shots, Frank's famous right hook, and a duck that gives us 5 punches and 3 evasive moves, so you do feel like you can use your own strategy. Fling Long Chop is from the land of the rising hi-fi, and he's a martial arts master of no can do, and it's from this point that you realise that we're not playing to the Queensberry rules. As in true Bruce Lee style, Fling comes at you with a flying kick. Andre Punch Your Head Off isn't much better, as the Russian likes to see you off with a Moscow kiss if the mood takes him. Sound is the most disappointing aspect, with no music at all, just crunchy punch sounds, hissing crowd noise, and beeps for the count. You do get codes when you win a fight, so you can continue your progress through the 8 fighters. I think back in the day, I only got as far as the 7th fight, against the Australian Antipodean Andy. I probably used a magazine code to fight Peter Perfect from the USA, who you have to beat twice for the World Championship, but I'm pretty sure I never defeated him, as the game ensures longevity by requiring different strategies for each of the fighters. Airwolf is the odd one out in this package, being the only title not based on a coin-op arcade game. It is of course based on the hit American TV show starring Jan Michael Vincent that ran for 4 seasons between 1984 and 1987, focusing on a super high-tech attack helicopter codenamed Airwolf and the various missions of national security that its crew must undertake. Airwolf was Elite's first licensed property and was programmed by Elite founder Richard Wilcox, building on his earlier helicopter game Blue Thunder. It's a rescue mission where you must retrieve scientists being held captive in a subterranean base beneath the Arizona desert. The game's notoriously difficult, causing Sinclair Programs to rate it just 10%, calling it difficult to the point of absurdity. Other reviews agreed, with the game scoring between 40 and 60% in most magazines. Except, that is, Crash, who declared the game addictive, playable and fun, scoring it 90% and giving it a crash smash. One of the reviewers commented that at first he thought it was damn difficult, with seemingly little content, just pretty graphics with its realistic shaded trees and snow-capped mountains. He then went on to detail the half hour getting off the first screen and 2 hours getting off the second screen as a good thing, but I think his original assessment was correct. The game contains just 12 screens that must be completed in exactly the same way 5 times to reach the end. But mere mortals will get nowhere near the 12th screen the first time around, never mind the 5th. Even with an infinite lives poke, I could only get as far as the 11th screen. But with said poke, I actually had quite a bit of fun trying. There's also a poke to enable your copter to hover, which further aids the difficulty and playability. So my advice is simple. If you want to enjoy Airwolf, cheat. If you want to try for a world record for launching your ZX Spectrum the farthest distance through an open window, then play it on the default settings. And that's Best of Elite Volume 1. 4 games that I got a great deal of enjoyment out of, even if I had to cheat to enjoy the last one. I couldn't find any reviews for Best of Elite 1, though Sinclair users Kamikaze Bear did briefly mention the collection in his compilation roundup for Christmas 1987. For my review scores, Bombjack is an amazing conversion that made minor concessions to deliver exactly the same silky gameplay that the coin-op offers, and scores 9. Commando's a similar story, a game that delivered the Commando look and feel better than any other 8-bit system, so that scores 9 as well. Frank Bruno's Boxing took a fun arcade title, sprinkled some of Frank's pantomime fairy dust on it, and delivered a game befitting the man, along with a very sensible implementation of the multi-load, so it deserves an 8. Airwolf is frustratingly difficult and very light on screens, but I can't deny that it is fun, and the endorphins that reward you for finally completing a screen are just about worth it, and I'd probably score Airwolf somewhere in the high 60s, but as I'm scoring out of 10 and in whole numbers, I'll round it up to a 7, which gives Best of Elite an average game score of 8.25. The packaging looks great with its stylish layout and absolute uniformity with Volume 2, but I am marking it down for being a single tape for all 4 games and the slightly lacklustre back of the inlay, so that gets a 7. With 33 points for a brilliant price point of £7.95, that's 25p per point, and for value for money it scores 9. Which means that Best of Elite Volume 1 scores 81.5%, which by virtue of being £2 cheaper places it ahead of Ocean's They Sold a Million in 3rd place. And that in turn places Elite Systems comfortably in 2nd place in the publishers table. I may be a one-man band, but as they say, no man's an island, and I always like to take 30 seconds out just to say thanks to all the resources that have been used in making these videos. So let's have another quick listen to this episode's chosen music before I get on with another Cascade Cassette 50 review. We're back with another Cassette 50 mini review, and this time we're looking at Cypher. It's the 19th game on side B of the tape, so many won't have played it, and it was written by Graham Hildyard. Okay, so it's a game where you try to beat your opponent, which is a computer, by putting coloured pegs in spaces. Yeah, so it sounds like it's a standard Mastermind game, where you stick your pegs in, it tells you, oh, and here we go, yeah. So it tells you if you get the colour and position right, you get a black dot. If you get colour right and the position wrong, you'll get a white dot. Okay. So we can choose the number of games, the number of pegs, and the number of colours, so quite customisable. Oh, we can also choose the number of guesses, and we can set a timer for each of the goes. So yeah, definitely a lot of options in this one. So how many games would we like to play? Let's play 2. And we'll go with the middle and 4 pegs. And we'll just stick with the 4 colours. Don't want to make it too hard for myself. And we'll have the full 8 guesses. No, we won't be timed. No, go on then. Let's put a timer in, but we'll make it a generous one. 30 seconds. Right, so there we go. Nice graphical representation of a Mastermind board. And we enter our guesses by using the B, W, R and Y. So there we go. So I'm going to do black, white, red and yellow. No way! And that's the right answer on the first go. I got it right in one guess. Wow. Let's try again on the second go. Can't be that easy this time, surely. So I'm going to go white, 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 white. See what happens there. Don't want to change my guesses. And none of them are right. So there's no whites in it. So that's at least something I know. So let's now try red, 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 red. Okay, so there's a red in it and it's in the right place, but which one is it? So I'm going to guess it's the first one. Then we'll have, I will fill it with yellows and see what we get there. Oh, so 3 are right now in the right place as well. So I know it's going to be a red and 2 yellows in some order. So let's hope that the first ones are correct and just change that last one. Is it a black? Okay, so now I know it is a black, and one of those black and yellows need to be swapped. So let's try changing those last 2. See if that does it. Nope. So now I'll try changing the first yellow and black. So we'll have the red, then the black, then 2 yellows. Get in. 2-0. Come on. Yes, you lost it, mate. Pure luck. What are you talking about? Strategy, mate. That's a nice, colourful, well done screen. Pleased with that. Do you want another match? Yes, let's have another one. Okay, we don't need the instructions this time. So we're going to just do the one match, but we're going to go for 5 pegs. And we're going to go for all 8 colours. So we're going to pick the hardest possible game. Do we want it to be timed? I'm not going to time this one. We didn't even look at the timer on the previous one, but never mind. Okay, so there we go. 5 guesses, 5 pegs, all those colours. So let's do black, red, see what happens. So there's no blacks or reds in there. Well, at least that's something learnt. So this time let's try white, yellow, bit of magenta, get the cyan in there, and a green. Okay, so we've got 2 perfect and 1 correct colour. So again, I'm just going to hope that that's the first 2 that are correct. So keyboard's a little bit unresponsive, but I've finally got there. So that's my white and red, yellows in, and then let's mix up the other ones. Let's hope that the cyan is the one that was out in the wrong place. We'll add a space on this one. S key gives us a space. And then what should we have for the last one? Yeah, let's. Oh no, we've done red before, so I'm gonna have to change that row again. So let's start again. Come on, keyboard. White, yellow, cyan. Come on. Oh. Okay, so we've got the space and the white in there, and let's see what we've got now. So now one of our ones in the right place has moved, but we also know that only one colour's wrong. So we're learning quite a lot here. So I'm going to hope that that white one's still correct where it was. Move my cyan over. Let's get the yellow in. Keep our space. And then we'll pick green. Well, that actually made it worse because we've lost one of the colours we needed. So that extra white Looks like it should have been there. So let's try again. I'm pretty sure that white's in the right place. But we'll put the other one next to it. Then which colour shouldn't be there? Let's try 2 yellows. Oh, look at that. 4 in the right places. Just one colour wrong. So let's hope. Let's go for white, white. Let's try yellow, yellow. Oh, still the same. So whatever I changed was the wrong one to change. So that means that the others must all be correct, I think. So it's white, white, and it must be yellow and space at the other end. So what's that middle one? Let's go with another white. White, 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 yellow, space. Oh, we've got one last guess, and it's still that middle one that I need to get. So white, white. Magenta. Yellow and space. Come on. I'm not going to change our mind. We did it! Get in! 3 wins, even on the hardest setting. I am a mastermind. Well done indeed. So that is Cypher, and I have to say I'm quite impressed. It's definitely one of the best interpretations of Mastermind I've seen, with so many options and different ways to play it. It's obviously not the most taxing game, processing wise, but not all games have to be, and whilst the graphics are definitely very basic, it was written in BASIC, so what do we expect? So I'm going to award Graham Hilliard's Cypher a very respectable 4 out of 10. I hope you enjoyed that. I've got loads more retro content on my channel, including One Life reviews, look-backs at classic magazines, deep dives into the history of various UK software houses, and loads more. Click the buttons to take a look, and I'll see you soon on Sir Clive's Retro Games World.